Call this meeting to order. Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, 7 p.m. City of Somerton regular council meeting. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation under God, indivisible. Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Anaya,
Present.
Vice Mayor Luis Galindo,
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Roldan, Councilmember Miguel Villalpando, Councilmember Juan Castillo,
Present.
Councilmember Marta Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilmember Lorena Delgadillo.
Present.
Mayor, have a quorum.
Thank you. We're gonna move on. Call to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council?
Saul,
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Saul Albor, 4386 West 12th Lane, Yuma, Arizona. Tonight, I wish to introduce to you the new planner that has joined the Community Development Department, Mr. Juan Leal Rubio. Juan, if you could join me up here. Juan brings with him a long 20+ years career of planning experience. So we're very fortunate to have him join the team at a very critical time, I believe, because of all the development that we have on the horizon. It'll be great to have an experienced planner join the community development staff. And I'd like to give the opportunity to Juan to introduce himself at this time.
Thank you, Saul. Well, first of all, just want to thank Saul for the opportunity of the job offered. And I hope that my experience will bring good things to Somerton. Like Saul says, I've been around growth, development, land use for quite so many years. And there's a lot of familiar faces here. Thanks for the opportunity again. And I look forward to working and presenting in the near future. Thank you.
Hey, you said Somerton, you didn't say Yuma County, so that's good. A good start.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Mayor.
Anybody else from the public?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Villalpando.
I just want to, just for the record, I am on the meeting. I had troubles trying to log in with a microphone. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Councilman. We have one proclamation, Cities and Towns Week 2024.
whereas the citizens of Somerton rely on the city of Somerton to experience a high quality of life in our community. And whereas cities and towns in Arizona work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to deliver vital city services such as fire, police, and emergency medical response to ensure safe communities. And whereas cities and towns in Arizona also provide services and programs that enhance the quality of life for residents such as parks, utilities, street maintenance, sanitation and recycling services, senior nutrition programs, community centers, and recreational programs. And whereas it is important for the city of Somerton to continue to provide the excellent delivery of services and programs that our citizens have come to expect in our community. And whereas it is one of the responsibilities of the city of Somerton officials to ensure open and accessible government through frequent communication with citizens using various avenues and means. And whereas through participation and cooperation, citizens, community leaders, local businesses, and municipal staff can work together to ensure that services provided by the city of Somerton can remain exceptional elements of the quality of life of our community. Now, therefore, be proclaimed that I, Gerardo Anaya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, joins with the League of Cities of Arizona Cities and Towns and fellow municipalities across the state of Arizona in declaring October 13 to the 19, 2024 as Arizona Cities and Towns Week.
I'd like to invite staff to come up and take a picture with council.
Yes, earn money somehow.
1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3.
Move on to consent agenda. We have item 6.1, check register for the months of August and September. Does any member of council want to remove item from consent agenda? Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
A motion by Vice Mayor Galindo, second by Councilman Castillo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one presentation from Yuma Food Bank.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. James Jones, Parks and Rec Director. I'd like to introduce Michelle Merkley, the Chief Operating Officer for the Yuma Food Bank, to present a presentation on Somerton food initiatives.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Vice Mayor and City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak today. My name is Michelle Merkley. I am the Chief Operating Officer at the Yuma Community Food Bank. And I'm here I lost my place already. Start over. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer and here on behalf of Yuma Community Food Bank, which proudly serves our neighbors right here in Somerton. Every day, we witness the strength and resilience of the community, but we also see the challenges many of our families face, particularly the working poor, seniors on fixed incomes, veterans, and single parents who struggle to put food on the table. With the rising costs of living, more families more than ever are turning to the Yuma Community Food Bank for support. This year alone, we've served thousands of Somerton residents. We are committed to continuing our mission of providing nourishing meals, but we can't do it alone. Does this work here? Oh, okay. Yeah. go ahead.
Can we higher the volume? Is it possible? Thank you.
It takes millions of dollars each year to feed the hungry in our communities. Food donations and food drives help, but they only scratch the surface. Thankfully, our food industry partners give us a volume discount with the large amounts of food we buy. That means every dollar we spend buys 5 times the food. We do a lot for our community, and would not be able to provide these services without the support of our donors, volunteers, advocates, staff, and leadership. Your generous gifts of money, time, advocacy, and commitment to feeding our neighbors in need have an impact that is felt every single day. You help our families get beyond hunger and succeed. You make a difference in their lives and their future. Thank you.
Sorry, the sound wasn't very good there. The mission at, our mission at Yuma Community Food Bank is to alleviate hunger and build equitable access to nutritious food in Yuma and La Paz counties. Yuma Community Food Bank is a backbone of hunger relief in the region, sourcing and distributing over 12 million meals annually. We are a proud member of Feeding America, which is a strong network of over 200 food banks in the United States. Yuma Community Food Bank, the areas we serve are Yuma County and La Paz County, including smaller towns like Somerton. We wanted to just give an overview of a couple of the programs that we do serve at the Yuma Community Food Bank. The first one is the Emergency Food Assistance Program, or as we refer to it as TFAP. So that is a federal program that aims to supplement diets of low-income individuals and households. The program provides surplus commodities provided to the food bank, and that comes to us from the USDA. USDA filters that down through the Arizona Department of Economic Security, which we have a contract with them so that we're able to supply that food to everyone here in Yuma and La Paz County. The second program we serve is the Commodity Supplement Food Program, CSFP. You might hear a lot of seniors refer to that as the yellow card program. That is a box that is for individuals that are 60 years and older. And this particular program promotes good nutritional health for at-risk populations, as seniors aged 60 and above are at risk for nutritional deficiencies. That particular program, CSFP, is very limited to us. The state only allocates about 1,695 boxes to us to distribute all throughout Yuma and La Paz County. So it is a very sought after program, and there is a long waiting list for that particular program. This goes over a couple of the food distributions that we have in Somerton. We have a mobile distribution at Campo, the Somerton Senior Center, Somerton distribution site there on Main Street. We have a partner agency that we work with, and that is Cocopah Community Center. As an agency, we work directly with Cocopah. We're able to deliver the food to them, and they work as they advocate on our behalf, and they distribute that food from their location. The other three are what we refer to as mobile distributions. That means that our staff at our main location in Yuma on 24th Street, we load up the semis full of food, and we bring that food to those mobile sites with usually 1 to 2 staff members to distribute those foods. And we appreciate your partnership, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to be in the buildings that we're in. A lot of our mobile distributions, they're on the side of the road. When you travel up to really remote areas in La Paz County, like Cibola and Ehrenberg, we are literally distributing food to people on the side of the road. So we really appreciate those buildings, especially in the summer with the heat, serving a lot of seniors and having them stand out in long lines in the heat. It's the harsh weather, so we appreciate your support with those buildings. Slide. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So as food bankers, we like to look at everything in poundage. That's where we live, is in pounds. So you can see from Campo, we distributed 72,000 pounds. The Somerton Senior Center, over 35,000 pounds. Our Somerton distribution, little over 65,000 pounds, and then in Cocopah, they've served over 40,000 pounds of food. So that equates to a little over 178,000 meals that we have distributed in Somerton. This is just a demographic of household sizes, age groups, individuals that we serve. The CSFP, which is the senior program that I mentioned, we distribute in Somerton 980 of those boxes. Households, 2,700. And then unique households, meaning, so we count everybody that comes once a month. So unique households is 788. I did have my staff, and I'm sorry it's not on the slide here. I had them run some numbers for me because I was curious how many people that live in Somerton are actually coming to our main distribution in Yuma. And right now, for fiscal year 24, we served 13,229 households. And those are people that are coming from Somerton and driving to our main location up in Yuma, which we recognize as a hardship because with fuel prices, just everything getting really expensive, we would like to be able to have distributions in the local areas so that people do not have to travel long distances to pick up the food that they need for their families. So what's next? So as a nonprofit, we are looking for other nonprofits to work together to help us to do those distributions. We have a small staff, and sometimes it is very hard for us to get to all of the remote areas that we need to serve the families that are in need. So we're looking for those partnerships. We're looking for churches, schools, community centers, and other nonprofits, like I said, to become partners with us so that they can keep the food and distribute those food to the individuals in need. If you look at our mobile distribution hours, we're traveling down here and we might be only on site for 1 to 2 hours. So we recognize that the working poor, they're at work. They can't make it to those distribution sites. So partnering with other agencies so that we can, maybe they're open later so that families can come and pick up food different times. Community engagement. Encourage more local volunteers to support Yuma Community Food Bank's efforts, involving city leaders and stakeholders like yourselves in the hunger relief initiatives. We're always looking for grant funding and working for potential partnerships to see how we can partner together to come up with more funding to provide food to those in need. And to develop initiatives that address the root cause of hunger, such as job training and educational support. Our success depends on strong community partnerships, including your support. I'm here today to ask you for your continued collaboration in creating sustainable solutions to fight hunger in our city. Whether it's through funding, volunteer support, or advocating for policies that make food more accessible, every action counts. Together, we can ensure that no one in Somerton goes to bed hungry. Thank you for your leadership and your dedication to our community. We look forward to working closely with you to build stronger, healthier Somerton. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilwoman Delgadillo?
Thank you for your presentation.
Sure,
It was
thank you.
very informative. I do have a question though, when you stated the number of residents that visit your site. How do you know they're from Somerton? Do they have to fill out a form or?
Sure. So what we do, so everybody that comes to the food bank, they have to present a photo ID and proof of residency. So we want to know where they live. So that's how we have that information. So if they do come to our food bank, a lot of them are coming from other states. We see that. And if they don't have an updated ID, we make them show us proof of residency. So is that a utility bill, rent receipt, something to show where they're residing?
Thank you.
I have a question.
Councilman?
And again, thank you for the presentation. And just so the Emergency Food Assistance Program, if any of our residents need it, all they need to do is just go to the food bank and just show their ID,
Mhm.
proof of residence,
Yes.
and they'll qualify for it automatically?
They
or are there-
qualify. So because this program is, our contract is through Arizona Department of Economic Security.
Mhm.
So everyone has to self-declare that they fall within the federal poverty guidelines.
Okay.
And so they have to self-declare. We can't legally ask them for their, bank
Income.
statements, their income. But most people are pretty honest. If they come to us and let us know that they don't fall within the guidelines, then we will ask those questions. What brings you to the food bank? Many of them, they have, there's been health problems at the house. They can't pay their bills. So then we will offer them other foods, and that would be donated and purchased foods. So we can not give them the government commodity piece, but we will make sure that they get something. Everybody that comes to the food bank leaves with something. We don't ever turn people away.
And I'm assuming it's the same also for the commodity
Yeah.
supplemental food program. It's
Yes.
just that they have to be 60 plus.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Councilman Villalpando, had a question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a follow-up question that ties into Councilwoman Delgadillo's question. Are you going off of strictly the zip code? Because the 85350 zip code, although it's Somerton for mail service purposes, it's really not what is proper Somerton or within the city limits.
Sure.
So how do you guys figure that out? Or do you guys
So-
just go off of zip code?
That particular report she ran, it was going off the zip code. Zip code, and I'm sure she did it by searching Somerton as well, but that is how she found that information, yes.
Okay, so there's a possibility that some of those are not actually
From Somerton.
in the
Yes.
city limits,
Yeah.
within the city limits.
As you saw, it mentioned the Cocoa Paw, so yeah, it was 85350.
Yeah.
We understand the Cocoa Paw is not within city limits, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was presented, so.
Yeah, no, I was just curious about how many actually from Somerton, which is city limits, are looking for services there in Yuma, and what can we do in order to provide those services here versus having them go to the Yuma?
Sure.
That's the only reason that I was asking what the numbers really were for city limits.
Sure. And if there's more additional information that I know that we can present, I can definitely have them pull more reports, and I'd be happy to provide that to you guys.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to new business. Item 8.1, discussion and possible action to approve final plat case for PLN 24-00177.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Saul Albor, Community Development Director. The item before you on the agenda is the approval request for final plat case PLN 24-00177, a request by Adrian Vega on behalf of Dahl Robbins and Associates, Inc., on behalf of Western Sands Land, Inc., for the approval of the final plat of Las Estrellas 7 subdivision located at APN 752-30-001, generally located on the northwest corner of County 17th Street and Somerton Avenue. Mayor and Council, on July 9th, 2024, the City Council approved the preliminary plat for Las Estrellas number 7 subdivision with conditions. Following that approval, the developer submitted a final plat application package on August 12th of this year. Throughout August and September, staff and the city's contract engineers, along with the Public Works Department, reviewed the plat and the improvement plans, and the review found that the submitted final plat did not deviate from the preliminary plat that was approved by council. The improvement plans are currently in the second review stage, which means that they're very close to being finalized. And Tonight, staff is recommending approval of final plat case PLN 24-00177 with conditions, and the conditions of approval for the final plat are listed in Exhibit A, but I'd like to show the final plat just to refresh council's memory on the case. Can you zoom out a little bit, Andrea? So if approved, mayor and council, the final plat for Las Estrellas 7 subdivision will approve 104 R16 size lots in the city of Somerton. Again, this is no deviations, no changes from the preliminary plat that was approved on July 9th. And staff's recommended conditions of approval for this case are in Exhibit A. If council would like to go over those.
Does any member of council want to go over those conditions? We approved them and they read it before. No?
No.
Okay.
Any questions on the plat or on my report?
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion? So motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo,
Second, Mayor.
second by Vice Mayor Galindo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council.
We're gonna move on to item 8.2, discussion of possible direction on proposed amendment to Somerton Zoning Ordinance Regulations.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, this item before you on the agenda is a report and presentation related to the proposed amendment to the Somerton zoning ordinance section related to shade structures on residential properties within the city of Somerton. So Mayor and Council, the Community Development Department has been exploring options as to what amendments could be made to our current zoning regulations that affect shade structures. As you know, shade structures are a hot item right now with not just in Somerton, but in the region. Everyone seems to be wanting to erect a shade structure on their property to protect their property and themselves from heat and sun. So at the direction of council, staff prepared some options in the past, and we put together a presentation. It was brought to council, and I think you gave a pretty clear direction as to what you'd like to see incorporated. So based on your direction, staff has prepared two options, which fused all the points that council would like to see, requested to see at the previous meeting that this was discussed at. So you could zoom out just a little bit more, Andrea. So Mayor and Council, again, we're talking about shade structures. Shade structures, of course, it's not a building, it's a structure. The 3 out of 4 sides must be completely open for it to be considered a structure and not a building. The current regulations of the city require that any shade structure must follow the setbacks of the respective zoning district in which it's being proposed. In the R1 districts, we're talking about residential, the R1 districts, the setbacks are 20 feet in the front, 7 feet in the side, and 10 feet in the rear, which is what you see in the image shown existing regulations. So that's what we currently have for shade structures. Anyone that comes to the city wanting to build a shade structure has to build it somewhere inside of the prescribed setback, unless, of course, approved for a reduction with a minor modification or a variance. But the standard setback is what is shown in the existing regulations image there. So the proposed options that we are presenting here tonight, we're not asking for action for approval, but rather direction as to which of these options council would like to see staff incorporate into the upcoming zoning code update, which is scheduled to be finalized next month in November. So in November, we hope to have your clear direction on this so that we can incorporate that into the zoning code update and get that finalized in November. So I'd like to go over option 1 and 2 at this point, unless if council has any questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So in option 1, the side setback would be reduced from 7 feet to 3 feet. However, there would be possibility for a future reduction from 3 feet to 1 feet if certain design criteria are met. And the criteria would ensure fire safety, first responder access, and a roof pitch pointed away from adjacent properties to prevent stormwater from being an issue. The rear setback would be reduced from 10 feet to 3 feet with the same option for a potential reduction to 1 foot if certain design criteria are met. And then the front setback would be preserved at 20 feet, no significant change, no changes there at all under option 1. And one thing to consider here, though, is that you can tell right away that there's the building area, the buildable area of the lot significantly increases from what we have right now in the existing regulations to option 1. With that provision in which it could be reduced on the side setback to 1 foot, that would only apply on one side of the property, as to maintain a 3-foot access on the opposite side to always ensure the direct access for first responders. That was one thing that was made very clear at the meeting that this was last discussed, that was important, and thus has been incorporated into option 1. Option 2 is exactly the same as option 1 with the potential for a 10-foot reduction of the front setback to allow a potential shade in the within 10 feet of the front property line. I'd like to show you what this looks like visually as well. Are there any questions on this slide on the options? So this is option 1. This is the one that affects the side setback and the rear setback, but leaves the front setback unchanged. The image that you see there shows a rather large shade structure with within 1 foot. So that this particular example would take advantage of the 1 foot option. The roof pitch is facing away from the adjacent property. That's the design criteria that I was talking about. The materials would be fire resistant materials, 1 hour resistant rating minimum. And then also this image here shows an example in the rear also meeting the design criteria. So this would allow a significant larger portion of the property to be utilized for shade structures. This is staff's preferred option of the two. The image shows also on the opposite side of the house where there is no shade structure, that would be maintained at a very minimum 3 feet. But I think really all the shade structures, you only need one side of the property, unless if you have a rather large lot, but that requirement would be maintained. Any questions on option 1?
I'll wait for you to present option 2.
Sounds good. Option 2 is the exact same, but allows for a 10-foot reduction of the front setback. We call this the alternative option. You know, in the example provided here, the house is set back at 20 feet, which would only allow for a 10-foot shade canopy in the front. Not a whole lot, but for example, if the house is set back at say 30 feet, then you could have a 20-foot shade canopy. It really just depends on how much space you have in the front, but at the very least, you would be able to build a 10-foot shade structure in the front. Staff has also prepared a set of criteria that design criteria for the front as to preserve the aesthetic element of shade structures in the front. So that's My next exhibit, it talks about design criteria for both wood structures and metal structures. Now, this is just for the actual look of it. Staff is proposing that the engineering and permitting requirements remain the same. They require a shade, all shade structures currently require a building permit, and shade structures constructed out of metal require an engineered design or a pre-engineered design. Staff is recommending no changes to those requirements. But if council wishes, I'd like to go over Exhibit B, which covers the design guidelines for shade structures. So for wood structures, what we are proposing is a minimum perimeter opening percentage of 80%, minimum post or pole size to be 6 by 6 inches, maximum column size 18 by 18 inches, maximum height shall not exceed the height of the garage or building. The color shall match that of the existing building exterior. The color of the mesh / roofing material shall be of neutral earth color and matte finish or match existing roofing of the primary building. So that's for wood structures. Are those clear, or does anyone from council need further explanation on any one of those?
Any questions, comments? Go ahead.
So for metal structures, these are more, we see more of these in the front. The minimum post pole dimensions would be 4 by 4 inches. The minimum size of other structural members shall be 3 by 3. Maximum height shall not exceed the height of the garage building. Color shall match that of the existing building exterior. And the color of the mesh / roofing material shall be of neutral earth tone and matte finish or match existing roofing of the primary building. So with these design criteria, staff believes that if something is placed in front of the primary building elevation, it would at least ensure aesthetic consistency with both the house and the neighborhood. Any questions on the design criteria for, these are only for shades in front of the garage. Behind the garage, it's just, they would just be required to meet the building code requirement.
Any questions or comments?
So that concludes my presentation. At this point, as I mentioned, we're looking for direction as to which option to proceed with for the zoning code amendment.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
For me personally, I think I like option 2, and the reason being is because a lot of our constituents are interested in the actual shade structures being built in their front yard. And so I think if we go with option 1, that kind of defeats the purpose of us going through this whole ordinance. So, but Saul, you did an awesome job with the presentation and doing the legwork and research and providing options. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Councilman Castillo.
So, my question is, I know that staff would prefer option 1. Can you just elaborate on why not option 2? I just want to see what I mean, the thinking behind that.
Thank you for the question, Councilmember. Option 1, the front setback is the most critical in my opinion. The front setback needs to be as unobstructed as possible for cars to be backing out of the garage. Whenever we talk about placing anything in the front setback, it does add an additional element that could obstruct visibility. So that was number 1. And then number 2 is the design, the aesthetic element of it. I think staff and the city over the years, through visions outlined in the general plan and the zoning code, there's been a pattern established of quality. We've got the tile roofs, we've got the landscaping requirement, we've got the block wall requirement. So Somerton is on this trajectory of quality. with this, if anything gets placed in front of in an existing neighborhood that's followed the existing design guidelines, it does have the potential to perhaps change the character that the city has pursued for at least a decade now at this point. So it's a safety concern, and it's also staff seeing with the vision of the city for quality and wanting to preserve that.
And I agree with Councilmember Villalpando. I mean, your presentation, everything, the detail is great. I mean, you gave us enough to make an informed decision on this. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Delgado.
So my question is, so the setback is one right in the back, 1 foot in the back.
It could be reduced to 1 foot, but the standard will be 3 feet with the option to reduce to 1 foot.
Okay, so how are those setbacks going to affect those that want to put storage? The storage sheds, has that been addressed?
The storage sheds would be considered buildings. So this amendment will only apply to structures. That the buildings have not been considered as part of this amendment, as part of this presentation, I should say, rather. So with that being said, buildings would continue to have to adhere to the prescribed setback of the 7 on the sides and 10 in the rear, or if they're under 10 feet in height, they could be placed at 5 feet and 5 feet. But what we've discussed so far would only apply to shade structures, meaning 3 or more open sides.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Councilman.
Mayor, and maybe this is I understand Saul's concern in regards to the quality and the strides that we've made to have a quality homes here in Somerton. So I'm wondering if there's maybe some designs that the city can work on what's acceptable and what's not, and maybe give them options to select of what they could put in their front yards in order to protect that quality that Saul is referring to. Because he's right to an extent that they can come in and put something that's inferior to or something that's not adequate for that particular neighborhood. And so in order to safeguard against that, maybe we should look into investing some designs. I mean, I'm not opposed to doing something like that. The other thing too is people need to realize that if they do put these structures in front and they're inside of those mandated setbacks, well, they run the risk of it being demoed, and it's on their dime if memory serves me right. So I think that's something that whoever decides to put a shade structure in their front yard has to be made aware of.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
just to add to that, but so under like Exhibit B, you do have the proposed design guidelines. So it wouldn't be like the residents wouldn't be able to just to put anything that they want. They would have to follow the guidance that you have outlaid here, right?
Councilmember, that would only apply for shades in the front. But yes, in the front specifically, the design guidelines prescribed in Exhibit B would have to be followed.
Yeah, so I mean, if someone tries to do something that doesn't adhere to this, it wouldn't pass our inspection, right?
It wouldn't pass the plan review.
Right.
Correct. So the question, the concern of someone bringing in something they picked up for $50 at Home Depot,
Right.
that more than likely would not meet the design criteria, therefore a permit would not be issued.
Right.
And that wouldn't, now if they do it without a permit, then that's another story. We have all
Right.
the tools to enforce that. But I think with the design criteria in Exhibit B, we have we have the guidelines preset that at least they're not, we don't know exactly what it's gonna look like, but we know that it's gonna look fairly decent.
Like the parameters will be set, right? Yeah. And you know what, and I mean, I think at least for me, I mean, I know in the sunniest city, I believe in the US, I believe we are the sunniest in the US, with I think 91% with daylights. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's kind of like accurate. So I mean, I do like option 2 for that reason for our residents, because I mean, we especially in the summer, we need that shade. And I like the standard, the 3 feet, just to give access to for any emergency in the backyard. So
And I agree with Villalpando on option 2, but with 1 foot setback on one side and 3 foot on the other. I think we're looking for flexibility. The one question I do have, we're asking them to have the pitch towards the building. So what if maybe if that's not achieved, maybe leave it at 3 feet if it's pitched towards the fence, but if it's pitched towards the building, maybe at 1 foot, that could be the compromise between.
Okay, just to make sure I understand, Mayor, so you're saying that if it's
1 foot on one side, if it's pitched towards how it was shown on option 2 towards the building, but if they have it, it needs to be 3 feet from the fence, so at least it doesn't, when it rains, it doesn't go into the neighboring property. So.
right, and I think that's what we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
If they're not willing to slope it, it's not necessarily towards the building, it's just not towards the adjacent property.
Yeah.
So if you incorporate some kind of gutter, I mean, that's a little bit fancier, but a gutter, or as long as you're not pitching towards the adjacent property, you could go to 1 foot. Now, if you can't achieve that, then the 3 foot option still grants quite a bit of flexibility.
Yeah, and and what Councilman Villalpando said, as far as having, something that having a standard design, at least, I just got a call today that someone's gonna put a ramada on and they paid like $100 plus. Now with the engineering, it's more, so we could do something for our residents, having a standard, this is what we want, and if they want to deviate from it, then they pay engineering. But I agree with Councilman Villalpando's suggestion that we have a standard one, whatever it is, 10 by 20 or some options with it engineered already, so someone can hire them, and that can save our residents until the building code is updated then. But at least for now, that's what was done in another municipality. The city hired an engineer for at least retaining walls, and that saves money to our residents. So we have something that standard that staff feels that can be used, and it's going to be standardized throughout the city. But of course, if somebody wants more flexibility, wants a bigger, and then they bring the engineering, then it's fine. But maybe that's something that we look at towards, in the future. But at least for me, option 2.
We could certainly accommodate that, creating a standard. Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, just to clarify though, the standard that's requested, would that only be for the front, straight shade structure in the front, or would you like an option for the sides and the rear?
Get proposals, however it's gonna cost, and we'll figure it out later.
We can get
at least now the setbacks are the important thing.
Yeah, very good.
If I may?
Yes, Councilman?
Yeah, I agree with getting proposals, but quite honestly, I think the front is probably going to be the one that most residents are probably going to be interested. So definitely, I would be supportive of doing some type of already designed concept. And so for the front.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. You got enough direction?
I think so. Option 2 get the standards to provide to the residents and incorporate everything in Exhibit B. I think that'll do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Council.
Thank you, Joey.
Item 8.3, discussion of possible action to approve pavement preservation fall chip seal.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Charles Gutierrez, Public Works Director. Tonight, as part of the annual pavement preservation chip seal program with Yuma County on rural roads, the city and the county will use VSS International for the collaborative chip seal program. The city of Somerton and Yuma County are piggybacking on the city of Yuma pavement preservation contract reference COY Pavement Preservation Services Contract 2020-200000153, which is in the final contract year for the preservation sealing application product, and Yuma County will provide the rock for this project. The project breakdown for the VSS project, who will provide for the project at $13 per ton at an application rate of 32 pounds per square yard. VSS portion is approximately, or correction, is $120,477.80. The Yuma County will provide the rock aggregate at a cost of $6,455. The total project cost is $126,932.80. The three segments that we're talking about are Avenue G, from Highway 95 to County 15th Street, approximately 5,240 feet. Avenue D, Highway 95, County 16th Street and a half on 2,667 feet, and County 16th Street from Avenue B to A and a half, approximately 2,415 feet. This project will commence in November of this year. The budgeted finance is approximately, or is not to exceed $126,932.80. We will use the GL code 216153. And tonight, we're looking for a recommended motion to approve the pavement preservation fall chip seal with VSS International and Yuma County as part of the City of Somerton annual pavement preservation chip seal program, not to exceed $126,932.80.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So move, Mayor.
So motion by Councilman Villalpando, second by Councilwoman Delgadillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 8.4, discussion possible action to approve resolution number 2024-023.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Carmen Juarez, Deputy City Manager. The resolution before you tonight is to reschedule the next regular meeting scheduled for November 5th to November 4th. This is because the regular meeting falls on Election Day this year. So the purpose of this change is to allow for additional opportunities to our residents to participate in those elections. Any questions?
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So move, Mayor.
Motion by Vice Mayor Galindo,
Second.
second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna skip item 8.5 for now until we have executive session, but we're gonna go over some recurring events.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, from administration, Louis is not here this week. He's out of the office. He will be returning on Monday, October 21st. With that, we have Police Department, Chief Juarez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Araceli Juarez, Chief of Police. Just wanted to remind you of the blood drive on Thursday, beginning at 10, ending at 2 p.m. at the Public Safety Building, 445 East Main Street. And to inform you that the UTV event was very peaceful. We had no issues. And it seemed like everybody was having a great time. And the last thing is, Mayor, to report to you on the Adult Academy, we've had a real good response. We have approximately 15 people attending, so we'll be sharing some photos with you guys. Thank you.
Public Works Department, Charles.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Charles Gutierrez, Public Works. Tonight in the streets, as you all are aware, the annual cleanup is in full swing. So far, it's going very smooth. This year, Raul has said that we have more vegetation than mattresses this year so far. So it's going pretty good on that side of it. On the wastewater, a couple meetings ago, we approved the Garvin lift station generator. It will be delivered according to schedule on next Thursday. In the water division, I would like to give thanks to the chief operator, Leo O'Malley, and his crew. The EPA ADQ 120 lead inventory was completed on time for submission for October 16th deadline. The water division took on this task and had to verify 3,631 accounts. The quoted price for this was upwards of $20,000. But Leo and his crew decided that we can do it. They had that can-do spirit. The water staff with less than half the quoted price from outside vendors. Early quotes for Somerton and San Luis were approximately 20,000, and our neighbor to the south could not do it in time. So they had to hire an outside company and charge them approximately $54,000. We did it way under budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Parks and Rec, James.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. James Jones, Parks and Rec Director. The restroom at Paracone will be delivered on October 24th. So that project's moving right along. The Senior Center will be doing their October birthday celebrations tomorrow from 10 to 12. If you guys want to come, please come. And I want to thank everyone who helped with the UTV Showdown and Enchilada Festival, police, fire, community development, Jasmine, and Yamalet, and our Parks and Rec staff all were on board to make it happen. I also appreciate council members Gonzalez, Delgadillo, and Villapando for attending as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, that concludes the summary.
Councilman Villalpando?
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
I received a call from Chairman Portas from county supervisors. The county received a grant for $18 million for the Mesa Sewer project. And they plan on doing some type of announcement this Friday. More information will be forthcoming if they did find a suitable spot in La Mesa to do this. I'd like to also thank all the staff that were involved with the UTV event. As every event, you know, there's some hiccups, some things to improve, but overall it was a great turnout. Thank you to Jasmine for stepping in, wearing like 5 hats that same day. But like I said, overall it went well, and just, you know, thank you, staff. Bless you.
Councilman Castillo?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Councilwoman Delgadillo?
I too attended the UTV Chelada Fest, and I also want to thank all staff and fire PD, especially Jasmine and Yamilet for running up and down Main Street, and it's just, it was a great thing to see how everybody just came about to support each other. So thank you so much for all your hard work. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor?
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Is there a motion? We have one item in executive session is for discussion and legal advice regarding the request for proposals for the sale and development of parcels within a 20-acre area located at 1298 West Main Street. Is there a motion to convene into executive session? So motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we're gonna have a 10-minute break, and then we're gonna go into executive session. Is there a motion to reconvene into regular council meeting?
So moved.
A motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Vice Mayor Galindo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we're gonna go back to item 8.5, discussion and possible action to approve sale of Parkview Commerce Center parcel number 3. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize staff to enter into negotiation with a potential buyer.
There's a motion by Councilman Castillo,
Second, Mayor.
second by Vice Mayor Galindo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's 8:55, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Have a good night.
Thank you.